Today's MMO news is kind of a story of contrast to start the year. You see, a big MMO is canceled, but a new one is launching, a sequel to a much beloved MMO. That's, well, plagued by the questions of monetization, as always. A new indie MMO looks cute and cozy, but it's probably directed toward a very small niche community, while another that is supposed to be this huge, gigantic MMO that appeals to everyone, well, it may soon to be revealed to be a scam, or perhaps the promise of good things to come. But before we get into all of that stuff, all that news, we have to talk about Everquest. The Everquest news for this update is actually, in essence, the absence of news. I do appreciate a good roadmap, and Everquest has been good about releasing them recently. But if there's one feeling or emotion that I was feeling like looking over this 2025 roadmap for Everquest, it was a resounding meh. It was so meh that I didn't think I could actually devote a full video to it. I had to throw it into this news video, which actually makes me a little sad. Much of the 2025 roadmap is made up of several annual events, and yes, at this point, progression servers in May are an annual event. They even included unlocks for expansions on the roadmap for different progression servers, as well as unlocks for different tiers from the most recent expansion, and that makes it seem a little bit more full than perhaps it would have otherwise. After a pretty exciting 2024, the year of Darkpaw, which saw the return of the first in-person event in a decade, as well as continued rumors and even soft confirmations of the early stages of working on Everquest 3 that's totally not being called Everquest 3, well, this roadmap just feels like treading water. And that's always a little bit weird to say when the game is actually launching an expansion, which is listed on the roadmap, a 30-second expansion, which is a pretty amazing achievement. I don't know, I think I'd hope for a little bit more on this roadmap. Maybe even confirmation that they were finally done with the UI revamp, the back end of that, so that they could start doing something new on the UI front, but nope, just continued progress. But perhaps the more abrupt and worrying news isn't about Everquest itself and this roadmap as much as the parent company of EG7. EG7 ended 2024 and began 2025 with a studio closure. In a recent release to investors, EG7 announced that they are closing Toadman due to the underperformance of MechWarrior 5 clans. Unfortunately, this means that just shy of 40 employees have been laid off at EG7. We'll see a lot more about EG7 and where they're at probably sometime in February when we get the 2024 Q4 financials. But I'm more pessimistic now for Everquest 3 news than I was before this recent announcement from EG7 and the slimmed down roadmap for Everquest 1. So from there, from that sadness onto, well, more bad news, especially if you're a fan of Horizon. And perhaps the most expected, but also very disheartening news, NCSoft is rumored to have canceled the joint venture Horizon MMO with Sony. Now, this MMO had not been formally announced, so this rumor on speculation, but the MMO has reportedly halted after a feasibility review. This comes after several other NCSoft projects were canceled following the Western launch of Throne and Liberty and a collapse in their mobile game revenues, which resulted in layoffs across NCSoft and the pausing or cancellation of several projects. With Horizon cancelled, that puts eyes on two other MMOs coming from NCSoft and one question of a project. For the MMOs, I'm looking at Project LLL, the third-person shooter MMO that, as far as we know, is still slated for a 2025 release. As recently as the Q3 2024 financials listed Project LLL as one of the 5 games to be releasing for the company this year. Project LLL, as a really sleek-looking third-person shooter, could be an interesting MMO, with of course the caveat that it has to become an annoying drumbeat for NCSoft games at this point. What is the monetization situation going to be like for that game? Because it's been a while, unless you're Guild Wars 2, that any game associated with NCSoft has felt good. And that same question will also apply to the other MMO that should be launching this year from NCSoft, Aion 2. Aion 2 is also slated for 2025 per those same financials. Aion was a beloved MMO for many, and the sequel will be likely very highly anticipated. And it's a game that I'm holding onto some hope for, specifically due to some comments made in the wake of NCSoft's financial issues. Aion 2 will reportedly take a completely different approach from Throne Liberty in terms of game design, monetization, and marketing strategies, and will emphasize progression and co-op play rather than competitive play. That last part, well, it actually might sting a little bit for Aeon's original fans who loved its PvP, but I'm mostly clinging to that different monetization approach for any sense of hope. The other project that we don't really know about, if it would be a RPG or if it would be an MMORPG, is Project E. Now, Project E we haven't heard much from in a long time. This was sort of billed as a companion game to Throne and Liberty, and we don't really know exactly the status of this game going forward and what it might be. I mean, it could be anything from it gets de-scoped if it had been an MMO, to it gets canceled, to it launches in a year. I don't know. It's just, we're just in a wait and see on that Project E, I guess. But moving away from those big MMOs, let's talk about some indie MMOs, because there's some interesting stuff going on. I stumbled upon this new MMO that looks, for lack of a better word, kind of adorable. It's a 2D platformer MMO that is being built by 2 people, with the bulk of the work being done by one dev, KO Moon, over 9 years. That, to me, is the definition of a passion project right there. It will have a large world to explore, complete with monsters, bosses, and dungeons, and a classless skill system, loads of equipment to load up with as you and your friends team up with to take on the dungeons and bosses, a guild system to get organized with, crafting, gathering, questing, and even player-driven content like parties, housing, player shops, and more. Hell, it's even got over 30 songs that are all originally composed by the developer themselves. This game won't be for everything. If I'm being completely honest, it may not even be for me, but it's a neat indie passion project being built in the Godot engine. When I see passion for game dev like this, it's immediately on my radar to cover. The game is currently on Steam to wishlist and will be a free-to-play title when it releases, but there's no hard dates yet for when that game opens up, but you can wishlist it now to keep an eye on if it seems like something you'd at least want to check out. I've linked it down below so you can go find it. Ironically, if that game isn't for everyone, and this next game is for everyone and looks a lot more splashy, well, I'm actually feeling a lot less charitable towards this one. The Quinfall is actually going to be launching into early access with no NDA in like 2 days from making this video. And it's going to cost $20. I'll be trying the Quinfall this weekend as long as it actually goes live and as long as it actually has no NDA. This is a game that I'm 100% not convinced is legitimate by any means. It's been plagued with red flags since it was first announced, from its out of nowhere origins, its communication or lack thereof, the NDAs, its complete and utter lack of any sort of MMORPG focus. To say I have low expectations is probably generous. And I would actually suggest, if you're on the fence, don't buy this game this weekend. Let those of us who are content creators do it first to at least get in and try. They were looking for content creators on Twitter to see if, you know, and offering rewards and stuff for them. I'm just buying it myself. I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm just gonna buy it myself and play it and give an honest review here. But just wait. You can wait on this one. I'm concerned, I think is the best way to put it. When an MMO doesn't seem to have a defined audience that it's actually appealing to, and it seems to be casting this gigantic net to appeal to everyone, and there's potential for it to be an asset flip, that is where I start to get concerned. Again, I'm not saying that that's what this is. I'm just saying that's what I think it is. So we'll see. I'll let you know. There's, of course, more MMO news to cover. There's a whole lot of Ashes of Creation drama, for example, of he said that, he said this person's mad, this person's not mad, they want to talk this. I don't care, honestly. I really don't. I think all the drama around it was silly. However, there are some creators that I want to suggest for you, because while I have been playing some Ashes of Creation, I don't feel confident in giving it a review yet, because I am approaching Ashes of Creation from a PvE perspective. And my opinions on the PvE of Ashes of Creation so far are pretty bad, in all honesty, because it feels very just grindy and kind of uninteresting. But the whole idea of Ashes of Creation right now is very much on the guild PvP versus PvP stuff. And for that, I want to suggest going to check out Nice Gaming and Chaos and Lace. And I have linked them both down below, because they, I think, they're definitely very fond of the game, but they're also they're even, they're balanced, and they're really great creators, and I highly recommend checking them out. And I'll play more Ashes of Creation, because there's like dungeons and stuff I still need to do. There's more stuff I need to do in that game before making any kind of even first impressions on it. I've been sucked into another game. I've been playing a lot of Pantheon, in all honesty, and it's hurting my workflow. I will be completely honest. I need more time. Speaking of another game, though, that's going to absolutely drain my time when it becomes more available, Monsters and Memories has started 2025 off with a bang. And they've done so much that I think I actually want to cover it in a larger video. But just in general, to give you kind of a quick summary of that, they have upgraded to Unity 6. They've shown off lots of new areas, lots of new NPC models. They've talked about in-world housing, and even shown off the beginning of a mount system with some pretty comical results. That game, which is hurtling towards a 2026 early access period, is showing off a lot of really good things before then, and hopefully we'll have some new testing before too long into 2025. There's also Stars Reach, the MMORPG coming from Raf Koster, which is trying to be this kind of new sandbox MMORPG that's combining some of the things from Landmark, some of the things from Star Wars Galaxies, and some of the things from Ultima Online all into one place. And that game actually just started a Kickstarter. They've been in development for years, and they're now starting a Kickstarter to kind of get them over the finish line. And there's basically, you know what, honestly, if you want to know more about all that stuff, just watch this video right here. It's a video on some of the most exciting MMORPGs of this year, and it's got timestamps, so you can just skip the MMOs that you don't give a shit about. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Redbeard Flynn, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you again soon.